What is up, YouTube? And today I'm going to be talking about this girl that you see on your screen here. That is Celine, best waifu, probably one of the strongest RGB 5 stars for PvP currently. And we're just going to be talking about how you want to build her and how to actually use her. Now, she's a very powerful unit because of her S2 ability. First, you'll see it gives her stealth, but the biggest thing is that when an enemy uses a non-attack skill, you'll actually cleanse yourself and attack with Blink. And Blink is a single target attack, does a ton of damage, will CR push her up. Also will ignore elemental disadvantage, so against fire units, you'll still be able to hit them and not risk the chance of dodging. And then we'll have her S3. After you get that CR push, you can S3, right? Ton of damage, it'll heal her. Also gives her evasion and a barrier, and just very, very annoying, right? She has stealth, she has evasion, she has barrier, making her very sticky on the field. And her single target damage is insane, right? Her Blink can one-shot a lot of units here. Her S3, especially if you soul burn it, will one-shot a lot of units. And then we have her S1, which is very strong as well, and will also just give her more stealth. So she's very annoying. She pretty much has permanent guiding light, and she also has that barrier and evasion to boot. And because of this S2, it makes her very good against openers that have non-attack skills, right? So a good example here would be like Conquer Lias. Conquer Lias S3s, right? If you're fighting her on Guild Wars defense, Celine will just one-shot someone and then S3 and then kill another unit, right? And she'll also dispel that attack down buff that you get, so very annoying. Another unit that's very popular is C Phantom Politis, right? ML Politis is everywhere. She's super broken, best ML5 star in the game, best PvP unit in the game in my opinion. When she S3s, you'll just cut and then kill a unit, and then your S3 will be up and you can kill another unit. So very, very strong into the current meta picks. Honestly, after her buffs, she kind of just became a top tier pick. I'd put her in the top 3 like RGB, Earth, Ice, Fire units for PvP in the game. In PvE, she's not that good, but in PvP, she's so good that it makes it so that you definitely want to build her. She's also pretty easy to build, and as a newer player, if you're getting into PvP, I think Celine is a must-have unit because she just counters a ton of units, right? And her build is pretty simple. I have her on Destruction set. If you don't have Destruction set, you can run her on Speed set because her Blink and also her Thunderclap doesn't actually have built-in damage or defense penetration. I have her on Pen set. It's the best set for her. If you don't have Pen set, you can run her on Crit Chance set, right? So if you're very, very new to the game, or you just haven't been farming Banshee and Katie's, you can run her on Speed set and Crit Chance set, but her best sets will be Destruction and Pen. Now for her stats, pretty simple. All you really need is around 200 speed. You can run her a little bit lower if you want in the lower ranks, but once you get to higher PvP ranks and you're fighting like 300 speed openers, you definitely want 200 speed. Even more if you don't actually have her artifact, which we'll talk about. But the reason why you want 200 speed is because your S2 gives you 30% CR, so that'll give you 60 speed when you cut, so you'll be at 260. And if you have her artifact, you'll get an extra about like 20%, which will put you at like 300% total, which will make it so that you can actually cut in front and actually take your turn after those 300 speed openers that have those non-attack skills. So 200 speed is the sweet spot, and then the rest of your stats just go fully into damage. You don't really need that much bulk. Having some bulk is nice nowadays because she does have a lot of defensive tools, but for the most part, you just want damage, right? 100% crit chance, as high of crit damage and attack as you can, with a little bit more priority onto crit damage because it just scales better. If you have Destruction set, it should be easier to hit to 350%, and the rest can go into attack and you can do a ton of damage. And she also has an exclusive equipment to make her easier to build, so you get crit chance for free. I think the best one is going to be the increased damage by Blink to guarantee that you one-shot, and also the fact that it will attack the enemy with the highest attack. Super powerful. Honestly, this one is like super broken, the second one. If they remove the increased damage dealt by 10%, I'm pretty sure you would still use this one because it just makes it so that you can snipe out those damage dealers very easily with your Blink, and she just becomes so threatening on the field. Now for her artifact, there's only really one option I'd say, and that's her own. Very, very good for her, right? It gives her an attack buff, which she doesn't even have for herself. She gets extra CR. Don't actually have this artifact, you can run her on something like a, what's it called here? Symbol of Unity is pretty fine because it gives you extra damage, but for the most part, if you're running Celine in your PvP teams, you want to have her on her own artifact. It just really complements her kit very well because she gets an extra CR push, which makes it so that you can run her at lower speed. And you also get an attack buff, which she doesn't actually have in her kit. Now, if you don't have this artifact, like I mentioned, you might want to bump up her speed to like 220-ish, 230-ish. But if you do have it, you can keep her at like 200, and she should be fine and good to go. Now, the only units you have to really be careful about are going to be units such as Janua, actually. And that is because if you actually blink and then proc his passive, you don't have a way to actually stop him from S1ing or S3ing, it's very bad because he can just wipe your team after. So Janua, very popular unit, does counter Celine pretty hard. But besides that, Celine is a very good counter pick into those very annoying opener units because of how her S2 works and how strong her S3 is. So I'm just going to show you guys how Celine works for the most part against these meta openers like ML Politis. She's pretty good against this unit. You're going to see that after ML Politis S3, she should just kill the Landy. Of course, it'll activate Blood Moon, hastes Blood Aura, but my ML Arrowell, or SC Arrowell, should be able to actually just tank it up, to be honest, and just live. So it shouldn't really matter. So here goes ML Politis S3. Hopefully my artifact procs and I get attack buff. It looks like it did not, but it shouldn't matter. I think this still just kills through, almost. Oh, very, very close. So if I had attack buff, I would kill, but actually this works out because I can soul burn my S3 because I get 10 souls from Blink, which is very, very strong, and you'll see how much damage this can actually do. So 14k, pretty strong. I'll just S2 here, attack down, but mostly for the extra damage. Kaurik's S2 does a ton of damage actually, especially if it crits, if you get lucky. And this should just wipe out the ML Haste and the Landy. I guess it doesn't, but I do have Unbuffable on the ML Haste, so it's fine. Then he will S3, my Arrowell will do like no damage, right? 8k, if he had the buff, it would have done, what, 16k, and I would have still lived. And then here, let me just stun this unit so she doesn't dual attack. And yeah, pretty simple battle, right? My Celine should just kill through here almost. Yep, does kill through. And then now I can just S1 over and over into the Luluka here. I don't really want to S3, I don't want to proc her thing until I actually have my ML Kaurik ready to cleanse. And I guess he is ready to cleanse, so we'll do this. But you can see with the buffs to Celine, she's a pretty solid damage dealer. She can pretty much solo DPS, which is insane now because she has that built-in stealth, which makes her super annoying. So you kind of see here that she's going to be able to do pretty decent amount of damage. S1, 11k. Keep in mind my S1's not even maxed out yet. I'm missing 20% damage on it. And then what should happen here is I think Politis will S3 and then my Blink should kill, right? So yeah, here she goes. S3, it'll proc Celine's S2 again. And then she will just one-shot the ML Politis here very easily. I do get the attack buff now. Nice. 45k damage. Very, very casual. But yeah, extremely powerful unit in the current meta for PvP. And here we're just going to test out Celine against, some non-attack skill users here. We have Peira, also ML Luluka, and we also have ML Flan. A ton of non-attack skills, so she should get pretty decent value. I don't really care too much about the other units on my left side here surrounding her, but we're just going to see how much damage she can do. Now, of course, ML Landy can resist the crits, but honestly, shouldn't really matter too much because I'll be getting a ton of value out of my S2 here, right? So after this S3 from Peira goes off, she's going to go into Landy here, push herself up, and she will get souls because it goes into, ML Flan. ML Flan is the highest attack. That's very interesting. So I'm going to soul burn this, and I think I'm just going to try to go into ML Landy here. And it does crit, nice. And you can see with the soul burn damage, if you crit with it, wow, 28k, that's pretty crazy. Let's try to go into ML Flan and see if this crits. It does, because why would it not crit, right? 50-50. And then we're just gonna S3, and this fight is pretty much over. Yeah, nothing much they can really do. I just kind of win here, so we'll just leave it at that. But pretty much how you want to use Celine, she's a very strong unit, counters a lot of meta openers, and just a very powerful unit in general. So let me know in the comments down below how you guys have your Celine built, and I'll see you guys next video.